Hello, hello. Welcome to Just Jenna. You have no idea how excited I am that you're here. I'll be sharing the wisdom, questions, and curious little truths I've gathered along the way. From brilliant thinkers to weird memes, from ancient texts to the knowing of nature. Some of what I've learned came from books, some from breakdowns, some from simply paying attention, and some from fumbling through it myself. My hope is that these stories expand you the way that they've expanded me. So maybe, just maybe, you don't have to trip over the same parts of life I did. And if you do trip and fall, it's okay. I won't tell anyone. You guys, I just finished a yoga session. I have 2 beverages in front of me. I have no video recording of my face. Hallelujah. And I had an epiphany. Okay, this is exactly the sweet spot where I need to be. I got a hot beverage. I got a cold beverage. I got some notes. I have my brain. I have a fuzzy sweater on. I'm about to let it loose. I'm going to let it rip because this epiphany I had has changed my life. Now, the epiphany is, well, actually, I'm like, I have to tell the story. I must tell the story how I got to the epiphany because it matters to me. As some of you may or may not know, I am in this Kabbalah course, a 10-week course. Jenna and Linda is my car. We drive to LA every Monday and we sit at the Kabbalah Center and we learn. We listen, we take in information, we do the do's, all right? The very first class I had, we were talking about flow, the concept of flow.
Chick send me hi.
Defines flow as the temporary disappearance of the self, okay? So, in my first Kabbalah class, we were talking about flow, talking about what it feels like to be in flow. Everyone was raising their hands, talking about times or situations where they feel like they're in flow. Then, the head honcho, he was like, okay, what takes you out of flow? Everyone's raising their hands, talking about when I start judging myself, when I start doubting myself, when fear creeps in, when I try to be perfect, when whatever, okay? I feel like that's a very universal experience, okay? Whatever, we talk about it for like 2 hours. After class, he kind of leaves us with like, okay, for the next week, clock it. Clock when you're in flow, clock what takes you out of flow, and pick up the pattern, which, like, you know me, my hands are rubbing together. I'm just so excited. I love figuring out the patterns of Jenna, figuring out who the fuck I am, love to uncover things. But I'm on a walk a couple days later, and I realize that not only do I take myself out of flow when I am being judgmental or fear creeps in or anxiety creeps in, that's not the only thing that takes me out of flow. I also take myself out of flow when I'm thinking positively, like good intentions, when I'm like, how can I best serve this situation? How can I show up as the best version of me? What can I do to give? That also takes me out of flow. And it made me realize when I was also in my mindfulness, I was in a mindfulness-based stress reduction course a couple of months ago. Well, actually almost a year ago now. And one of my biggest breakthroughs that I had while in this course was not only do I run away from negative emotions? Like anytime in the past, if I felt sad or anger, I would get so scared to feel those feelings because, in my past, when I would feel sad, like it was a big ass deal. Like my depression episodes could last months at a time. It took me to really dark places. My anger has took me to really scary places. So anytime I would feel like a touch of those emotions, I would run away from them. And anytime I would feel now happiness or joy, I would cling to those emotions so much where it was actually causing me suffering. I realized through my mindfulness course that the chase that I had towards happiness And the way that I would cling on to joy caused me suffering in the same way that running from my sadness caused me suffering. It was the biggest epiphany for me because I was like, oh my goodness gracious God Almighty, not only am I, because like, I'm sorry, but I feel like when I say like running away from fear, judgment, anger, sadness, like that makes sense. Like everyone does it. The awareness that people have about this is like, yeah, no shit. A lot of us do this. But it really blew my mind when I realized that I was causing the same type of suffering viscerally in my body when I'm clinging to happiness, when I'm clinging to joy, when I'm chasing it. Because chasing anything or running from anything causes the same feeling in your body of lack, not enough, I'm not whole right now. Which is an illusion because we are whole right now, baby. My epiphany with the flow idea, the contemplation of flow and what takes me out of flow really busted me wide open, okay, people? Because not only did the negative thoughts take me out of flow, but positive thoughts as well. And I finally understood a universal teaching that I've been hearing forever. I finally understood it. What is this universal teaching? Well, let me just open my notebook. Because I wrote it down, obviously. I've always heard these like universal teachings, and I'm sure you guys have as well, about like not thinking about yourself, or in Buddhism it's said like the self is the source of suffering. And the more you think about me and my needs and my image and my story, the more I suffer. So clinging to the self causes suffering. I never really understood it until now. Clinging to the self causes suffering. Because obviously you hear it and you're like, no shit. If I'm having negative thoughts about myself, I will suffer. If I have fear around something, it will take me out of flow. But it's so much deeper than that. Even having positive intentions and thoughts still takes you out of flow. It takes you out of life. Flow meaning life. Flow meaning the present moment. So therefore, thinking about yourself at all takes you out of life. All thinking. Even if you're thinking positively, it takes you out of the flow because you're thinking about yourself. And it's so interesting. So here are some things that I have realized within the last couple of weeks about the nature of myself, the nature of reality, and, you know, things like that. Something light, something to keep it very light, of course. So self-referencing, not just negative thinking, is what takes me out of flow. Negative Jenna thoughts cause suffering. Any Jenna thoughts cause suffering. Suffering is when you're not in flow. It's not I'm scared. It's not I'm insecure. It's just the I. Even spiritual I's, like how can I serve? How can I help? What should I fix? What can I offer? It is still contraction, it's still ego, and it takes you out of the current. Current meaning flow, flow meaning present moment meaning life. Flow is the absence of self-referencing. Flow is the absence of self-referencing, all self-referencing. Like I said, this guy, hold on, pulling it up again, I can't pronounce his name. This guy,
Chick send me hi.
that guy, he defines flow as the temporary disappearance of the self, not high self-esteem, not self-improvement, not positive self-talk, but no self-talk. None. Zilch. Zero. Nada. It's not good versus bad thoughts. It's the absence of self-talk. Period. And I realized the ego here has two costumes. Because even having positive intentions and thoughts still takes me out of flow. So like there's this like fear ego that's like, I'm scared, I'm not enough, I'm failing. And this is so obvious to me. Like to me, anyone that's listening to this, seriously, like you guys get this. You must get this. I would say the majority of people get this. this type of ego. Everyone is talking about this type of ego and how to get rid of this ego, and this ego needs to go away, and we need to discard all of this because this is taking you out of living your dream life. But you guys, there is a second ego here that I am uncovering about myself that is as detrimental as this obvious one. I'm going to call it the spiritual ego right now, but I don't know, because I'm talking about two different costumes. There's two ego costumes. There's this one that's obvious to me, and then there's this subtle ego. I'm going to call it the subtle ego. The subtle ego is, how can I serve? How can I share? How can I do better? One looks ugly. The fear ego looks ugly. The obvious ego looks ugly. Okay? But this subtle ego, it looks holy. It does. It looks holy, but both are still I-centered. They both are still concerned with the self. Oh my God, it's blowing my mind. When I was in my undergrad, I took this Buddhism course, and Buddhisms, they talk a lot about the no self. Okay, I've been learning about this stuff for years. Okay, people, but it's really starting to I'm understanding it now, because it's not negative thoughts about myself create suffering. It's thinking about myself at all creates suffering. And again, I have heard this for years, but I finally understand it. I finally get it, because I was on a walk thinking about flow, thinking about all the things, whatever. And I was doing my thing, and I started thinking about how I was going into a situation later that day, and I was thinking about how I could best serve this community. And it made me realize that I was taking myself out of the flow of walking and being in nature, being on a walk, because I was thinking even positive thoughts about myself, positive ways of how I could share my gift. That took me out of the flow. Walking, being in the present moment, that's flow. That's where I want to be. But when I was thinking even positively, it was taking me out of flow. There is this other man. Hold on. I might have to I don't know how to pronounce his name either. Okay, I'm going to say Ramana Maharshi. Ramana Maharshi. He is this, Indian sage. We're going to call him an Indian sage. Right? Can I say that? He's an Indian Hindu sage. Okay? Anyways, he says that the ego thrives on thinking. Even thinking of doing good strengthens it. And honestly, I only found this out after I had my revillization, my epiphany, because when I have these epiphanies about the nature of reality, I'm like, has anyone else thought this before? Am I the only one thinking this? What is going on here? And then I'm able to confirm my thoughts with these ancient teachings. Every single time I have an epiphany, not every single time, but a lot of times when I have my epiphanies, I realize that my epiphanies, I'm not the first one that's ever thought this. This is not new information. This is ancient wisdom. It's 3,000 years ago, yoga philosophy. It's Buddhism. It's coming from Kabbalah. It's coming from the Zohar, which I don't even know exactly what's going on with the Zohar yet. But just know I'm probably going to just dive right into that, because there's so many things that I'm coming into that I feel are leading me towards that. Anyways, point is, this guy says the ego thrives on thinking, even thinking of doing good strengthens it. Buddha says, to be free is to drop the I maker. Okay? Everyone's talking about the same thing. Flow is life in its pure, unfiltered state. When you're not self-identified, you're in life itself. Life moves you. Life guides you. Life speaks through you. Life expresses through you. And in Kabbalah, I'm learning about to me, for me, through me. Okay, people? There's 3 levels and layers of reality that you can exist through your perspective can exist through. Okay? And so I'm going to say this again. When you're not self-identified, so that means when you have the absence of I in your brain, in your conscious awareness, when that is gone, when you're in flow, when you're not self-identified, you are in life itself. Life moves through you. Life guides you. Life speaks through you. Life expresses through you. And this is the only place I want to be. I have gotten myself to a point where I wouldn't say 100%. Absolutely not. I don't think I'll ever reach 100%. maybe, I don't know. But over the past year, I have been in such a surrendered state to life where, for example, a tree is not trying to be anything but a tree. A dog isn't trying to be anything but a dog. A cucumber isn't trying to be anything but a cucumber. All of these things are living, okay? I know I am a part of that. I am a part of the nature we see outside, the animals, and food that is growing, and plants, and all these things. I don't want to be anything besides what nature has intended for me. I don't know what nature has intended for me. In the same way that a tree doesn't know it's going to grow, or the same way that, I don't know, like an apple tree doesn't know as a seed, like a seed of an apple tree has no idea it's going to grow into an apple tree. It just does. It has no idea what nature has intended and in store for it. I know this about trees because I have more of a conscious awareness about life, like more than a tree. I might be wrong though. Hell, I don't know. Maybe a tree is looking at me like, oh my God, she has no idea. She's going to grow into this. Anyways, point being, it is so important to me to let go and to get out of the I and to be in surrender for life to move through me and to guide me. Because I don't want to force myself into any situations, because my whole life, I was raised one type of way. I had one environment that I existed in. You just like have cards that you're dealt, period. I was forcing myself into a lot of maybe identities, forcing myself into spaces, forcing myself into jobs, forcing myself into relationships or interactions based on my brain, thinking that I needed to go be doing this because it would mean this about me, right? I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a participant in that. I want life to move through me. I want life to guide my steps forward, not necessarily me. I have been in more of a receiving and allowing state. Obviously, I still take action. I still do the do's, but my life has increased exponentially ever since I started shifting my awareness to this reality. I've learned that selflessness and openness and not thinking my way forward and being guided by resonance, like being guided by synchronicities, not my mental like intentions, has allowed me to kind of settle into these spaces and places and meetings with people that are greater than anything I could have ever imagined for myself. The world moves more smoothly when you stop inserting yourself mentally into everything. The Zohar, which I haven't read the Zohar yet, the Zohar stems from Judaism. I was told that the Bible are stories and the Zohar explains the why behind the stories. Okay? Now, I haven't read any of this. I have a feeling I'm probably going to read a lot of I think the Zohar, I've just recently been exposed to the Zohar, and I believe it's either 26 volumes or 23 volumes. I can't remember. Maybe I'm wrong in both of my guesses, but it's a lot, and I want to read it. I want to read the whole thing. I'm going to read the whole thing, probably. Okay, but again, I was recently introduced to this. And so when I had this epiphany, I just Googled kind of like the epiphany that I was coming into. And I was like, does the Zohar say anything about this? And alas, it does. The Zohar says, when a person's mind returns to the self, the flow of light stops. Now, what I'm learning through Kabbalah is that when the light is referenced, that's kind of what they're talking about when they say like the universe or God or divine, Mother Nature, whatever you define a higher power as, Kabbalah references as the light. So I'm going to say this again. The Zohar says, when a person's mind returns to the self, the flow of light stops. Now, from my understanding through Kabbalah so far, it is understood that we are a vessel for the light to travel through, to be expressed through. So when you're thinking about yourself in any context, not just the obvious ego that I'm not good enough, I'm not ready, I'll never make money doing this, I'm too small, I'm too shy, or I'm too big, I'm too loud, whatever it is. Whenever we have those thoughts, or whenever we have even, like I said, the positive or the more subtle ego of like, how can I serve? How can I share my gifts? Even when the subtle ego is involved, that's when life and light cannot shine through you. And to me, that's a bunch of hocus pocus willy-nilly. I don't want to be involved in that. I want the light to be shining through me so I can be guided by this light through my life. I just have this feeling or knowing, whatever, I don't know, that I am meant to be a vessel, not a self-directed force. I believe people, I believe all material manifestations in this reality, so I think literally everything, is a vessel for the light, not a force. But I don't want to put that on anyone else, so I'm just kind of saying like me right now. So when you think about the subtle ego, I think it's important to talk about the fact that I'm like, okay, it's coming from a good place. It's not like we're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater here, because again, because it is subtle and it is coming from a quote unquote good intentioned place, a positive place of like, how can I serve? How can I do this in a positive way? How can I be generous? How can I love? How can I give? I think these are beautiful, beautiful, beautiful places that a lot of people's awareness is. However, when you are in that state, it does take you out of being able to be a vessel of light. So it's not thinking about how to serve, because our auras, I believe our auras or our vessels or whatever, they naturally serve when you're empty of self-referencing. So I'm not saying to not think about how you can't serve. I'm not saying to like throw out this whole thing. I'm saying when you take self-referencing out of the equation, when you are in flow, you are serving. You are giving. So, something that I'm going to start doing is noticing when the like self, the I, the subtle ego, the obvious ego and the subtle ego kind of turn back on, and just to simply soften my identification with it. We're not beating ourselves up here. That is like the biggest point in all of this is like, yes, all of this awareness that I'm coming into and that other people come into is like good, great, and dandy. But you have to be soft with yourself. You have to give yourself grace when you are coming into this awareness. So instead of, I shouldn't be thinking like, for example, if I'm on a walk and I start thinking like, how can I best serve? Or if I'm even going back into the more obvious ego of, how is this going to benefit me? How, whatever, I'm not ready, okay? Any one of those where the I is kind of in the driver's seat here. So instead of thinking I shouldn't think this, when I like have that click of like, oh, I'm thinking of myself again. Instead of I shouldn't think this, it's more of like, oh, I'm thinking of myself again. That's why the flow is being wobbled out. Oh, okay. And then just return to presence, return to the sensation, return to the moment. That's what I've also learned from my OCD therapy. that as soon as you catch yourself doing a compulsion, as soon as you catch yourself doing a repeated pattern that you want to stray away from, as soon as you catch yourself thinking about yourself too much, as soon as you catch yourself self-referencing, pause, clock it, and return to the present moment. Return to what you were doing. If you're on a walk, return to the walk. If you're cooking, return to cooking. If you're in a conversation with someone, return to listening. You don't need to do anything besides return to the present moment. Do not beat yourself up. We're not going to be doing any of that. It's just, oh, I'm doing that again. Okay. Stop. Return to what you were doing. If you were driving, return to driving. Yoga, return to yoga. Whatever it is you were doing, just return to what you were doing. This is creating the pattern disruptor. This is neuroscience, baby. This is changing your mind. This is neuroplasticity at work. You will be given another opportunity. Trust. You will be given another opportunity in the future to move the way that you would like to be moving. So you don't need to beat yourself up in the present moment. Just pause, acknowledge, even giggle. I swear to you, just give it a little giggle like, ha ha ha, I'm thinking about myself again, or ha ha ha, I'm repeating this pattern again, or ha ha ha, I reacted poorly, or ha ha ha, okay. Pause, return to the present moment. Boom. Keep it moving, because you're going to get another opportunity to act the way that you would prefer to act. Anyways, you guys, that is my epiphany I had about flow. That is my epiphany I had about the self, about mindfulness, about I don't even know what, to be honest with you. I'm just learning and reflecting all the time. I love it. And I love you. And I really love not recording myself visually. I really wanted to do that because I was like, I think, here we go. I think people would benefit from being able to watch me because I just want people to consume my content. And I was like, oh, that makes the most sense. I can put it on YouTube. I can put it on Spotify. Boom, shakalaka. But I don't like it. And it has nothing to do with the fear of being seen. I don't care about being seen. It has nothing to do with that. I've already done so much shadow work with that. Trust. It's just, it doesn't feel like the point. The point is the words. I think I just made up my mind until I change it. Classic. But my little chickadees, my little baby bears, I love you guys so much. I love you guys so much. And I hope you have a beautiful week, a beautiful life, a beautiful day, a beautiful experience with whatever the hell you're doing. Seriously. But I love you guys, and I will see you next Tuesday.